Hello and welcome to the Tough Girl podcast, which is all about motivating and inspiring you while increasing the amount of female role models in the media. I'm your host, Sarah Williams. Today's Tough Girl podcast episode is slightly different from all of the other interview podcast episodes, as today's episode is going to be a reflections episode where I look back over what has been going on over the past 6 months and also share a little bit more about my plans for the next 6 months. So if you're brand new to the Tough Girl podcast, let me introduce myself. I'll just tell you a little bit more about me. I'll then give you a brief overview of the agenda of what you can expect from this episode. So my name is Sarah Williams. I'm the host of the Tough Girl podcast. I have been hosting the Tough Girl podcast since 2015 when the podcast first started. So this is the 9th year anniversary of the Tough Girl podcast. So I've been doing the podcast for 9 years now, which is pretty incredible. So I'm currently based in the UK, living on the Wirral. I live with my parents. I'm 42 years young. I'm going to be turning 43 in September. I'm recording in my beautiful, relaxing bedroom. On the right-hand side, I've got a giant world map, the wallpaper maps you can get, which covers the whole wall. I have got Himalayan salt lamps next to me, which are radiating this gorgeous sort of pink glow. I've now also added a snake plant as well, which is meant to be really good to have in your bedroom. There's loads of benefits from having it. It actually helps with radiation. And what are the other benefits from it? I actually just sent my sister the plant as a birthday present, and I actually just sent her a little thing. Yeah, so here are a few snake plant advantages. So it's an air purification, it's low maintenance, so they are immensely resilient and require minimal care, which is a good thing. It can help improve sleep quality. It can help with enhanced productivity, and it's a natural humidifier. So lots of benefits. So I've now got a snake plant in my room. I've got a 2-litre water bottle. I'm trying to increase the amount of fluids that I take on, and yeah, I'm sat in my bed, which is where I record all my podcast episodes from. What is my background? I've done multiple episodes on sort of my story. And if you want some more specific information, you can find this all on the website, toughgirlchallenges.com. But basically, when I was 32, I've been working in London for 8-9 years, working in private wealth management, quit my job, went traveling for 2 years, came back and started up Tough Girl Challenges and taken on various challenges since then. So my first big challenge was running Marathon des Sables, 6 marathons, 6 days across the Sahara Desert. I then took on the Appalachian Trail, where I through hiked 2,200 miles in 100 days. I then cycled down the Pacific Coast Highway. I've walked the Lycian Way in Turkey. I've done hikes over in Australia on the Overland track. I've done multiple adventures in the UK, from walking the West Highland Way, the Great Glen Way, the Wales Coast Path, Offa's Dyke. I have also recently come back from walking the Wirral Trail, the Camino, Viva de la Plata, and the Cotswold Way, which I'll be talking about in a little bit more detail as well. So my life is basically about challenge, adventures, motivating and inspiring women and girls. My mission is to increase the amount of female role models in the media, especially in relation to adventure and physical challenges, which makes my life almost easy now because I'm very, very clear on what my purpose is. So every sort of decision links into that. I share my hikes and adventure on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and I share to hopefully encourage other women to think, okay, what's my next adventure going to be? What are the realities? I don't really sugarcoat it. I share the highlights, the challenges, the ups, the downs. I share how much it costs me to do these challenges. I share the mileage, the distances. I'll talk you through that in a little bit more detail when I talk about some of the hikes. But if you do want to learn more about me, do go and visit the website, toughgirlchallenges.com. And like I said, I do have a dedicated page. It's a little bit out of date at the moment, talking about me, the different challenges and adventures. But there's also more information about all of my solo episodes that I've done throughout the years. There's actually quite a lot. And then there's also a separate section as well with all the other sort of podcast interviews that I've done, whether that's with Resilience Rising podcast, my first season, Life Done Differently, Head Right Out, Life Her Way, Living Life Differently, the Adventure Sports podcast, etc. So there's a lot of information out there. But if you do have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. So send me a DM on Instagram and I can point you in the right direction. That's probably where I'm most active. So I've set the scene, but let me just talk to you a little bit more about the agenda and what you can expect today. So I'm going to be talking, some of the topics I'm going to be covering off is going to be health, money, life updates, just a little warning. I'm not a doctor. And when I'm sharing, I want to share because I want to make it really clear about sort of try and give you more of like the information like behind the scenes of what it's been like for me. And I do just want to sort of acknowledge that I know that I am really, really privileged. So look, I do live at home with my parents. I'm not paying rent. And that gives me a very, very fortunate position. And I now massively do understand that when I talk about my life and I talk about, oh, well, I just spent 2 months in New Zealand, then I came home, then I was in Spain, and da 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 da. And then when I'm talking about some of the challenges, it can sound as though that I am complaining. And I just want to make this really clear. I am not. It's just sharing. And so just because from the outside, people's lives can look incredibly glamorous, that is not always the case. So I just want to make sure that I share in a really sort of like authentic way. And I have to say this year, what I'm sharing wasn't what I thought I was going to be sharing. Like if you'd asked me a year ago what I thought my plans were for 2024, it would be very, very different from what has actually happened. And I'll dig into that in a little bit more detail. Yeah, I'll be talk through the last 6 months. I'll talk more in detail about the Camino, Cotswold Way, etc., future plans and why plans have changed, and I'll talk a little bit more about the lessons that I've learned. I'll also talk about some of the numbers as well, just some of the stats information. Hopefully that sets the scenes about what you can expect from this episode. But yeah, January, I mean, to be honest, it sounds ridiculous that I'm recording this at the very, very end of July for this to be released on August 1st. I don't even know where the past sort of 6 months have gone. It feels years ago that I started the year in Wellington, New Zealand. I didn't have a crazy night out. I'm not really a massive fan of New Year. I did treat myself and booked like a private room at sort of like a youth hostel, and I went to bed early. So boring. I had a really good night's sleep. I'd done a massive food shop the night before so I'm in New Zealand because I'm basically walking the length of New Zealand, so walking the Te Araroa Trail. And there will be vlogs coming about that at the end of the year. I've also done separate episodes. If you're, really interested in that as a challenge, I have done a planning and preparation episode, which was released in November 2023. And then in March, I've done a very detailed episode. It's actually almost about 2 hours long. Very entertaining. I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. Go and give that a listen. Talking more about New Zealand, the North Island, the South Island, some of the challenges on that hike. But basically, that's where I started. January, February in New Zealand on the South Island, hiking every single day. I finished that trail on the 6th of March. I flew home, and I actually only had 23 days at home before I headed off to walk a Camino Viva de la Plata in Spain. So walking from Seville all the way up to Camino, so that's to Santiago de Compostela. So coming home in March, I actually felt really good. Like I know I only had 23 days, which I probably wasn't the best, but I actually finished the Te Araroa Trail feeling pretty good, feeling really, really strong. I was really pleased about my weight, because one of my concerns when I do many of these through hikes is I end up losing too much weight. And even though I eat utter rubbish, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, but I was pretty consistent throughout the whole trip. I came back and I wasn't wiped, if that makes sense. So I was actually quite excited to get out to Seville to almost have an easier, in quotes, easier hike, because walking Caminos for me especially are a lot easier, because you're not out in the wilderness. You don't need to carry a tent. You have accommodation at the end of the night that you're walking through. You generally have facilities on the way, so your pack's a lot lighter. That it's very, very well. These trails are very, very well signposted, very well maintained. There's lots of people generally walking out there. So they're very, very different. It's very, very different from like the Te Araroa Trail or the Appalachian Trail, which is more of like, a wilderness hike. Like some of my biggest days in New Zealand, I was carrying food for like 9 days. My pack was heavy. It was really hardcore. You're crossing rivers. Sometimes you're just walking straight up a river. So I was quite excited to get out to Spain, and I'll just talk a little bit more about this as well. So when I was out in Spain, so normally I record and I film it on a GoPro, and then I'll edit the vlogs later. But one of the things that I've been trying to figure out is how can I go on adventures and share and document what is happening. And I've seen a lot of people doing YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, and I was thinking, let's give that a crack. Yeah, that didn't work. Did not work for me at all. I managed 9 days, and then I just realized it's too difficult for me to produce additional content when I'm out on adventure and trail and do it consistently. So when I'm out now, what I do is I share a post pretty much daily if I've got access to Wi-Fi or to 4G. And I share my stats. So I'm sharing, 10 photos, updating my stats. And that is, to me, is manageable. And I also share Instagram stories as well. But when I started adding on, trying to create a YouTube short or an Instagram reel, it was just so difficult. I just couldn't, I'm just so tired at the end of the day that when I get in, I'm sort of mentally done. And then it's like my creative juices have lapsed. There's nothing really left. And so what I figured out is that the YouTube shorts, I'm really gutted about this because I thought it would sort of work, but it just doesn't work for me. I am much better if I just record on the GoPro. And then the only issue with having the GoPro is getting the footage uploaded to Dropbox as I'm walking, because I've got like 5 SD cards, which is each of 2 hours. So I've got like 10 hours of footage, and I'm normally recording about 45 minutes each day when I'm filming. But sometimes the challenge is if not having the Wi-Fi, trying to get the footage uploaded to Dropbox, because you've got to transfer it from your GoPro to your phone, from your phone to Dropbox, then delete it from your phone, delete it from your app, delete it from the SD card, etc. That there is a whole process behind it. I'm quite logical. I actually have like a spreadsheet which I print out and take with me, where I literally have tick boxes to say if I've done it or not. You've probably seen that on Instagram stories. So I think in future, lesson learned from that is in future, basically take the GoPro, film it. Then when you come back and when I'm at home and then I'm not as tired, then I can be more creative when I'm putting the vlogs and telling the story and putting it all together. But one of the great things about me doing these sort of daily updates is it allows me to keep track of all of my walks. And I've been doing this quite a while now. And what that means is that I do like a total stat. So my walk from Seville to Santiago was 31 days. I had no rest days. There was 2 travel days. I know that I walked an average of 33 kilometers each day, about 20 miles each day. I did 1,338,589 steps. So an average of about 41,000 steps every day. My earliest start time was 6:35 a.m. Not going to be doing that again. It was like walking on the pitch dark. Not a big fan. Like the reason I walk is to actually see the scenery and see the sights. And I actually don't mind the sun. So I like walking it like midday. Like I'm like, yeah, give me sunshine, give me heat, give me 35 degrees. Like I'm in my happy place. My latest end time was 6 p.m. My longest time on my feet was when I was walking for 10 hours, 40 minutes. Pretty big day. And my biggest day was actually on day 30, 2nd of May, where I walked 29 miles, 47 kilometers, 60,000 steps when I walked from Sia to Silida. I also track like my costs as well. So my total accommodation cost for this trip was £335. It's Caminos have cost me about £11 a day for accommodation, and that's a mixture between like private alberge, municipal alberges. The cheapest accommodation was €3, which is pretty amazing. My most expensive was €40. Food, I also talk more about the food. So I am always on a budget. I'm always trying to keep my costs down. And so I generally don't really eat out a huge amount. I'm not a massive cooker at home. I like baking. I generally shop from supermarkets. And yeah, I need to talk about my diet. My diet has had consequences in my life, should we say. So I'll finish with the stats and then I'll talk a little bit more about the diet and some of the challenges of that. Yeah, I had a shocker on my way back. So I generally just take a small backpack and I don't take my poles over. And I can't remember if I was flying with like Ryanair or EasyJet, but I thought my bag was the right size. I knew it sort of wasn't, but I thought I'd be able to get away with it because I've got away with it for the past like 3 years. Basically, I was sat at the airport waiting to fly home. Very nice Spanish guy came over and was like, "Oh, hi, are you on this flight?" And I was like, "Oh, yes. Can I see your boarding pass?" Like, "Yep, great." And he's like, "Oh, could you just follow me?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." Not really thinking, just following, the instructions. So walk past this massive queue of like 100 people. He's like, "Oh, if you could just put your bag inside, the airport container bin." And I was like, well, this is not going to fit. So I was just like, "Here's my credit card." It's just like, oh God, put it on the credit card. So that was like €58. Wonderful. But it got even funnier because so then he let me board fine. On the plane I went, he allowed me to take my backpack on the plane, even though I just paid for the storage. And then he came back to me. He was like, "Oh, are you flying somewhere else with us today?" And I was, you've got to admit it. So I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Oh, where are you flying?" So I was like, showed him my next boarding pass, so I was flying from Spain to Geneva to Manchester. So he made a note of like my number. I thought, oh God, he's going to put it in the system. So then people at Geneva will know. So then I ended up paying like another €58 or whatever it was for my backpack. So I bought the luggage. I was like, that's an expensive little mistake that I made. But anyway, it was paid. So my travel cost ended up being £249. Like my flight to Spain, like to get out to Spain, it only cost me £13 because like, why did I had paid with points. I think I paid with points and I had like a free flight to use up or something. I can't remember now. So yeah, an extra £95 for my luggage, a little bit gutting, but it is what it is. I also had some shockers on this walk. So total cost of that trip, basically this Camino cost me £1,045. So generally walking a Camino for 35 days will cost me about £1,000. So it's €1,200, which average cost is about £26 per day. And I've actually got all of the stats of how much it will cost me to do a trail. And I roughly know like how much I will spend. So some of the issues on this trip. I was really good for like the first 8-9 days. And then I think day 10 or day 11, I basically had this like massive like emotional wobble is the only way to describe it. And I don't know where this came from. I'm having some more ideas now. I think I just had this day where suddenly I just got exhausted. Like I was just so tired. And then normally I'm like, have I drunk enough? Have I had enough food? Am I getting enough sleep? You never really get enough sleep on the Caminos just because of all the snorers, etc. And I don't know, I just sort of went into this really sort of like dark, sad place where I was just like quite I mean, it's probably starting my period as well, but like, you know, that like emotional feeling. And then you start feeling like anxious and worried. And then I started to think about the future. And it's like, oh, I'm getting older and I'm still doing this. And like, am I saving enough money for my retirement? And what am I going to do? Like, I don't have a house. And, you know, when my parents like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, you know, like pass on, you know, what's next to me? Like, what is my life going to look like? And yeah, it was just really worrying and concerning. And so I do a couple of things when I start having these thoughts. Like when I'm walking, what I do is I speak into my phone. So I open my notes app and literally just started speaking like all my worries and concerns. Just speak it all out, put it into the notes app so I can sort of get it out of my head. And then I FaceTimed my parents, had like a really good chat, and that really sort of helped me. But I just started to really struggle. And looking back now, I think it's a couple of things, and they all sort of interlink together. So I'll try and describe it as best I can. So I work with Innovate, amazing company, and I've always worn their shoes. I've never had any issues with their trainers. Like they just fit me. I don't know, it's a new design, what it was. Basically, these trainers, which I had tried on, I got them at the National Outdoor Expo. Like I literally tried them on, and you know, I think they fitted. Or even though back then I was thinking, oh, are my toes at the end? Basically, my feet have grown bigger. I'm now a size 9 UK, and I think that's from all the walking that I've done. And my shoes they were too small for me, and I started having getting blisters on the fronts of my toes. By day 7, it was just, I couldn't walk in them. So I ended up buying like a new pair of trainers, but obviously didn't want to spend a huge amount of money. I think I bought, you know, a different brand, like still like €60 or something. And they were fine. It was like pure bliss the first day I was wearing them. And then after a day of wearing them, I started to get blisters under the soles of my feet. And so I'm literally trying to alternate, like, well, which trainers do I wear? Because the Innovate trainers are like slightly too small and are causing me blisters. And did I lose yes, I did. I lost a toenail on my left foot. Or do I have pain under my foot? And so in the end, I managed to, like, the blisters sort of dried out. My left foot was okay in the Innovate trainer, and my right foot, I had it on like the other trainer on. So basically I'm dealing with which I've never had this before, horrendous pain. Because I've never understood why people stop because of blisters or because your feet hurt, because I've always just walked through it. Obviously, I don't think I've ever had those bigger feet problems that I had. But when every step that you take, you are in pain. Like it's just there is only so many mental tips and tricks that you can use. There's only so many painkillers that you can take before it just becomes, it's just horrendous, like just horrendous. So I'm dealing with this constant pain, but also it's not that I'm not a quitter. It's just like I had a flight booked out, so I knew I had to get there by a certain date to catch my flight. And I wouldn't take the the bus on the Camino. And I think after New Zealand, where I hitched so much and almost felt like, oh, I'm letting people down by like hitching, I was like, no, I need to almost prove to myself that, look, I can walk a big distance and not hitch because of all the hitching that I did in New Zealand from all of the, the road walking. So it's almost like, no, like I'm not hitching, I'm not taking the bus, I'm going to do this. So I'm in huge amounts of pain. I'm taking a lot of painkillers. I'm gluten free. The Camino Via Plata, there isn't as many services available. Food was a lot more challenging. Supermarkets shut sort of midday. So sometimes when you're walking through a town, the supermarket is shut. So you're like, well, do I like, there's no point hanging around unless you want to wait for another 4 hours, and then you're not going to reach your destination. So you just sort of push on through. And so I was not eating the best food. And also, by the way, let's caveat that I have not been eating, and I forget because I'm just literally just like, for me, with regards to food on trails, my concern for the past couple of years actually hasn't been sort of on the nutrition, and it's been on the energy and the weight and also my weight. So the weight of the food, and also making sure that I maintain my body weight. How I get those calories, don't really care. As long as I'm getting the calories in, my weight is being maintained, and it's not too heavy for me to carry. So like, I'm not going to be carrying apples because they're not going to give me enough. They're not calorie dense enough, even though they're nutritious and tasty, etc. And I think that was brought home to me when I was at the dentist, and I was like getting like 2 fillings done, and they're like, well, would you drink are you eating a lot of sweets and drinking a lot of soda and pop? And I'm literally like, no, like I'm so healthy. The ladies at the dentist, they know me quite well, and she's like, but like, but aren't you traveling quite a bit? And then I was like, because that's what I said. I said, I'm so healthy. When I am at home, I am so healthy. I'm, pieces of chicken, loads of broccoli, loads of veg, pieces of salmon. I've got my protein shakes. We have dessert like once a week. We don't have like Coke and lemonade in the house. We don't keep like sweet stuff. Like, if want something sweet, then I actually have to drive out to get it, or I might make like a flapjack or something. But it's all like healthy food. And she was like, but how much are you traveling? And I was literally just like, oh yes, like that's a really good point, especially in 2023. Like, I kind of like 8 or 9 adventures every couple of weeks. I was on a challenge in New Zealand. Oh my god, Whittaker's chocolate. I was devouring that, a bar a day. That's disgusting. And I mean, disgusting, delicious. Giant bags of crisps. Like, I was literally just like, oh yeah, and Coke. If I'm going, I will just have a Coke, because you want the sugar and you want the energy. So yeah, I had to get a couple of fillings. Sorry, I'm losing track. Basically, so painful feet, loads and loads and loads of painkillers, my not very nutritious diet, all of these things I think started to affect me sort of mentally, feeling super, super tired, starting to feel massively run down. And this is not a good place to be. Just as a little sort of segue, is like back in 2014, 2015, I was like I had like chronic fatigue. I was again severely anemic, hair was falling out, acne, pale, run down, tired, exhausted, like all the things happening. And so I was almost quite conscious this time. I was thinking, I do not feel good. And one of my big problems is I am incredibly lazy. And when I come home, it's like, I rot. I don't know. I am feral and I rot, and I come home and I go from being outside all the time, walking, 15 miles a day, carrying a pack, to lying in my bed for pretty much 20 hours a day. Because if I'm not sleeping, then I'm working on my laptop, editing or recording podcasts. I do everything from my bed, and it's not me complaining, because I love it. It's my happy place. I'm in my bed at the moment. I'm with my amazing duvet, and it's so comfy. It's amazing. But it is a very drastic change from being full on loads of exercise all the time, outside, sunlight, to being inside and rotting. Like, that's it. Rotting, but in a good way. And my struggle is, because I am lazy, but I can be productive lazy, if that makes sense. Like, I will just get done what I need to get done. But I have these thoughts, or these struggles, where I'm actually like, am I tired, or am I just being lazy? And that's what I don't know. Like, I can't work out if I am actually physically tired, or if I'm just being really lazy. So all of these things were coming up now at the end of this walk. So there's definitely highs and lows from the Camino. Blisters on my feet. The weather wasn't great on the Camino. I had like a week of like 10 days of gorgeous sunshine. Then the final 2 weeks, it was rain, it was cold, it was wind, it was rain, it was cloudy. I'm just not a fan of being cold and wet. I can do it. I've done it. I will continue to do it, but I don't enjoy it as much. Hence why I try and go to hot countries and hot places for my walks and challenges. So it was challenging, but there was also, there was a lot of highlights, and I will be bringing these vlogs out. Oh no, I didn't record it. So there's no vlog, so you can't really see it. There's Instagram stories. You can watch back on the Instagram stories. But basically I came home, I finished the Camino, and I was literally just starting to think like, I don't think I was appreciating what I was doing anymore. Like, so I've just spent, 2 months in New Zealand. I've been home in the UK, and then I've just walked the length of Spain, and almost just not appreciating it. Like, just not appreciating it. And I thought, well, this is not a place that you want to be. Hold on, that you've designed your life so that you can travel and go on adventures. And so mentally, I think I was just like having this big wobble. What am I doing with my life? What am I doing with the podcast? What am I doing with my adventures and travels? Like, am I like really asking myself, am I enjoying this? Like, do I still want to be doing this, or do I need to take a step back and just stop and do something completely different? So, those were the thoughts that I was having. So what month are we in now? Around the beginning of May. And again, I've had these thoughts before, especially in terms of like this balance, trying to get balance or trying to get harmony. Because look, when I've got a challenge and adventure, and especially like 2023, like I loved that year because it was like, yes, do this adventure, 2 weeks at home, next adventure, bit of time at home, down to London for a christening, back home, do this, I was moving like Camino Primitivo in Spain for 2 weeks, home for a couple of weeks, sort out all the editing, off to Korea, off to New Zealand, boom, 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 constantly on the move, but feeling as though I was growing, that there was a lot of purpose, it was all happening. And then I thought that was going to continue in 2024, all these different adventures that I had planned. And a lot of it's all sort of started to come crashing down around me. So like I planned this year, I was like, okay, initially it was going to be the PCT, and I was like, I can't do another big through hike. It's just through hikes are so emotionally draining when you're away for 4 or 5 months. And it's so hard for me in terms of the preparation before. And people think it's a holiday for me, and it is a holiday, but it's working every single day to produce content and to film content. And then I come back from the trip, and then I've got to edit and pull together 4 or 5 months of content while planning the next adventure. And it's just a lot to do. So I need to figure out this balance. And basically things all fell down. In terms of, I was like, not doing the PCT. Okay, I'll do a couple more like UK hikes, Cotswold Way, Glyndor's Way, the Ridge Way, etc. Also scheduled, booked in. And when I book things in, I like locking them. Like I want them locked in. I was going to do the GR20, with Alex. There was things going on, and then it was just like, oh, I'm just too tired. So I actually had a wedding. Oh, that was it. Yes. So I came back from the Camino. I had a wedding to go to down in Devon, which is why I ended up doing Cotswold Way with Gemma, because basically I could get from the wedding to the start to Bath pretty easily, and then we could do the walk. And then Gemma lives close to me on the Wirral. She'd leave her car at the other end and get the train down to Bath to meet us, and we could do it. So we did the Cotswold Way in May, end of May, beginning of June, 28th of May to the 3rd of June. Oh, it was wonderful. So we planned it for 8 days, but we were slightly quicker. So we did it in 7 days. We didn't have any rest days, but it was just so wonderful. Gemma's just such a great person to walk with. I've walked with her before on the coast to coast. Super chilled, super relaxed. My nutrition was also not on point again, but it was just really nice walking with somebody else who helps with like the planning and, like mentally having to make these decisions, like where do we wild camp, where do we get resupply, all of these sorts of things. And mentally sometimes you get to a point where you're just like, I just can't make any more decisions. And Gemma's just brilliant for that. And we stayed in some really nice accommodation. Gemma paid for 2 nights in like these wonderful hotels. But I filmed this and I've got the vlogs out, you can watch it on YouTube. There's a clip of me like on day 1, like we're leaving Bath. and we're trying to walk up this hill. Gemma's asthmatic, so she's got an excuse. But I'm literally like, I've walked over like 3,000 kilometers. Like, I should be fit. And like my shortness of breath, the dizziness, like I just did not feel good. And then you think, well, it's my nutrition. I need to eat more food. I need more energy. It just was not working. But look, excuse me, we took it super chill. Like it was, our biggest day was like 23 miles. Our shortest day was like 10 miles, where I think we stopped at like 3:00, and then I got into bed at 3:00 and didn't move, didn't move for the next 12 hours or whatever. So I think that was a real eye opener. And I was just, me and Gemma were chatting a lot, and it was just like, look, this is not, like, I know myself, this is not right. Like, I should not be this tired, and I should not be this exhausted, because I've done like walks of this length before. Like, I should be like powering up these hills. And so I just knew. So as soon as I came back, it was just like, right, I need to call the doctor up. Now, because I've been anemic before, I just called the doctor up and said, look, I've been anemic in 2015. I'm having the exact same like symptoms. I do not feel good. I feel really, really tired. Can you just book? I don't want to see a doctor first, then to book in a blood test, and then to, just get me. I need the blood test. And so she was great. She was like, yeah, come in, like booked in for like the following day or the day after, and the phlebotomist, I can't pronounce the word, straight in the morning. I took my blood, and you get the results through the NHS app a couple of hours later, and it was literally like, you're severely anemic. So, which is like, it was almost like a relief, because it's like, I knew I was tired, but now I've actually got a reason for why I'm feeling like this. So my hemoglobin was 91, and it should have been over 112. My serum iron levels were 3, and it should be over 11. And my serum ferritin was a 5, and it should be over 30. But my B12 was normal, my vitamin D was normal, my thyroid was normal, my liver function was normal. I had very, very light periods. I'm very, very regular. So that was great. And what did happen is I got my prescription for iron tablets like that day or the following day. I can't quite remember. It was very, very quick. And I started taking the iron tablets, and to be honest, like even like 5-10 days in, I was just wiped, like just so tired. Like I was literally like, when are these iron tablets going to kick in? Taking them with vitamin C, taking them on an empty stomach in the morning, doing everything right, getting back to eating all my vegetables and everything. And basically, a month later, did start to feel better. Like now, I am actually feeling better. I had a blood test done like 5 days ago, and everything has improved, which is amazing, because I feel as though I'm getting back on track. But the other things that I've been doing as well, so after I came back in June, is so in Hoylake, where I'm based, we have got this incredible facility which just opened up called AIM, which is sort of like a wellness center. It's staffed by like GPs, but it's got like a cryotherapy, it's got red light therapy, it's got a rebalance bed. When I was feeling super tired, I also wasn't sleeping well. So even though I'm tired, I'm not sleeping, and then that makes you more tired, and then you get more stressed out, because you're like, well, why am I not sleeping? And for me, it's not necessarily that big a deal, because it's not like I have to go to work to do a 9 to 5. If I'm tired during the day, I'll take a nap. I'll just go to sleep and then wake up, and then then I'll be awake till 2 a.m, and then I'll sleep for 4 hours, and then I'm awake again. And then it was just my sleep patterns were just getting horrendous. So I went on a rebalance bed. I did about 4 sessions, noticed the difference straight away. I don't even know how to describe the rebalance bed. You lie on this bed, and it takes you through this program with like breathing, and there's lights, and it's like about 20 minutes or so, but noticed a massive difference. But I also did, I went to see the doctor. I actually went to see 2 doctors. I went to see the doctor at my local GP surgery, and that was more focused on but it was like, you have 15 minutes with the doctor, ask all the questions. Then she was like, this might be an overshare, but she was like, I can't remember what she said, but she needs to put her finger up my bum. I can't remember what she was checking for. Something to do with whether there's any problems, like where's like for blood loss, because why am I anemic? And she also, because I talked about like, is it like, is it foot damage, from like all of your walking, the foot strike, you can damage like your blood through that. A lot of women suffer from it. And she was like, no, it's not that. That will come out in the blood test if it was. So just trying to like figure that out. So also say not very pleasant. But the other thing I had done, I had also, God, in 1 week, do you know what I had done in 1 week? So in 1 week, I went to the doctors to have my blood test. I went to the doctors to have my smear test. Is it called a smear test now? Cervical smear test. Went to the dentist, have my cavity, like my fillings, went for a checkup, went and had my fillings done. Then I was back to the doctors to get like my like talk through my results and to do the other testing. I was like, God, that's been a lot, isn't it? So it's like, all in one day, smear test, fingers in places, mouths, oh God, everywhere. Oh, sorry, I'm just going completely off topic. Anyway, and then I also visited like my naturopath as well, just to like sort of run through, like I like doing the holistic thing as well. I think I find it like having that combination is really good. And she got me on some supplements as well to sort of help me with like my energy levels and also like my gut health, because I have been taking a lot of ibuprofen. I actually don't think people talk about this enough. And it made me reflect back. But when I'm on trails, I'm taking a lot of ibuprofen. People joke about it on the Appalachian Trail or any of the big 3 hikes. They call it vitamin I. But if you're taking a lot of ibuprofen, even taking it with food, sometimes I'm taking 6 a day, 2 in the morning, 2 around lunchtime, 2 before bed. It's not good for your gut health. And I think that's what I really need to work on, is improving my gut health. So, so where are we up to? So that was June. July, I need to make money, and my Patreon numbers have been declining, which I understand, which I get. Look, times are really tough for everybody now. But I work for a company called Off to Work, and basically it's just you go on the website and it's like waitressing, hostessing, clearing tables, random odd jobs that you can get paid for. So like reception work. Porsche held a private event at Alton Park, so I was like waitressing there. I helped out with like a university graduation, dressing graduates in their gowns. So that was quite intense in July, but great, because I made about £1,000 for 5, 6, 7, 8 for like 8 or 9 days work or something like that. It's about £150 a day, which is great. Money is great. So that's good. That's really sort of like helped keep things ticking over. So where are we up to now? We are now up to July. So July, feeling a lot better, more energy. I'm getting all my stuff ready. I'm actually going to be heading down to the Armchair Adventure Festival. I've got a friend called Ellen, who's also been on Tough Girl Podcast. She's been on Tough Girl Podcast twice. She is going to be driving, and there's going to be lots of badass, awesome women attending. There's Gemma Smith, who walked with me on the Coast to Coast, walked with me on Cotswold Way. There's Ari, you will have seen her in the vlog. She was the first woman to run around the Wales Coast Path. Abby Barnes is going to be there. Abby's been on the Tough Girl Podcast like twice. It's going to be super, super fun. And so I'm going to be attending the Armchair Adventure Festival. I'm going to be running a workshop there, adventure planning workshop. I'm also going to be hosting the Tough Girl Podcast live. There's 3 of those episodes which have been released like last year from the festival. I'm doing 2 interviews this year. They'll be coming out sometime in late September. So that will be super, super fun. And then Ellen, on the drive back, she's going to drop me off at Taunton, and I'm going to then make my way to Minehead, where I'm going to be walking the Southwest Coast Path. So for those of you who aren't based in the UK, the Southwest Coast Path is a national trail walking from Minehead to South Haven Point. Oh, I thought it was Poole. It's 630 odd miles. Cicero have a guidebook on it, which they very kindly gifted me and sent me. So I'm just going to read you the back of it. So the Southwest Coast Path is Britain's longest national trail, measuring 1,015 kilometres, 630 miles from Minehead to Poole. This guide describes the full route step by step along the North Devon, Cornwall, South Devon and Dorset coastline to its end at Poole Harbour. This remarkable coastal trail is based on the paths trodden around cliffs and coves by generations of coastguards. No other stretch of British coastline compares for scenic splendour, interest, history, heritage, accessibility and ready availability of facilities all rolled into one. So I've got the guidebook, Cicerone guidebook, and my initial plan I was actually going to start the other way. I was going to start in Poole, walk all the way round to Minehead and then continue on down to Bristol and over to Chepstow so that I could join up to Offers Dyke into the Wales Coast Path, because then I would have done this whole section of the UK, which would be really, really cool. But just trying to get from Mount Edgecombe, which is where the Armchair Adventure Festival is, over to Poole was just becoming a nightmare. I couldn't work this out. And eventually I was just looking at the map and I was like, hold on, the M5 runs past Taunton. If if Ellen can drop me off there, I can then get on a bus to Minehead and be at the start, and then I can just walk around. And then when you end up in Bournemouth Pool, you're then on the train line straight into London, so I can pop in, go see my sister at the finish, and then be home in time for my birthday. So that is the plan. This is a sponsored hike as well, so I'm working with Zolio. So you've probably seen like the grey box that I wear when I'm hiking, like on my backpack. So it's for when you're in like remote locations. What it does, it's a satellite communication. So I have the Zolio app on my phone, so I can text like my family and friends. They can text me. Plus, also my family can track me. And I could open this map up to other people, but I don't like being tracked by people who I don't know. I've used it for, when have we used it for now? For like over a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer. They sponsored my New Zealand hike as well, which is great, especially when you're in these more remote locations, especially if, if something happens for me, if I fall over, break my ankle and there's no phone signal, then at least I've got my Zolio basically. So that's really, really fun. It's great to be doing a sponsored hike. My plan is to finish before my birthday, ideally, which is the 10th of September. But I don't really have like a hard deadline for this walk, because normally I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it in 30 days. I'm going to do it in 40 days. This time I'm just going to be like, do you know what? Let's play it by ear. And the reason I'm doing that is since I came back from the Cotswold Way, I haven't done any exercise, partly because I've just been so tired. I'm just run down. So I need to take this by ear. The first 5 or 6 days is probably going to be pretty tough. But if I might get out there and just feel full of energy, feel really strong, feel really fit. And I'm because it's daylight now for so long, because it's the summer months, it's up till daylight till like 10 o'clock. I might walk for longer, but I'm just going to play it by ear. Like if I'm starting to feel super, super tired and I'll just slow down, I'll do less miles. Or if push comes to shove, and I'm really broke. I'm not even going to, I'm going to be absolutely fine, but I'm just taking it one day at a time. There's no rush. Like I plan to do it in maybe around 42 days, maybe slightly less. Part of me is like, 30 days would be pretty fun, but like literally no schedule. Just get out there, have some fun, see this beautiful coastline. I'm hoping to walk with, catch up with members of like the Tough Girl tribe. A few people have already said they're going to come out and join me for a few little sections, which will be absolutely wonderful. It's always nice to walk with people. So I'll finish that in September. I'm then going to be home. And then the next exciting thing, which you are, by the way, you're all invited to this. I'm going to be giving a talk. So I'm a speaker for the Tremula Festival. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. It's Tremula. So Tremula Festival is organised by Fran, who has actually been on the Tough Girl podcast before. Fran came on the Tough Girl podcast on May 21st, 2019. I can actually just tell you a little bit more about Fran, who is organising the event. So Fran, let me just, on my laptop at the moment. Here we go. So I moved it over, but I did have Fran up. So Fran shared her story. She is an advocate for adventure and epilepsy, and she walked the Camino solo. The Camino de Santiago. So after being diagnosed with epilepsy in 2015, Fran set out to walk the Camino de Santiago 2 years later solo. Since then, she's worked more adventures into her life. In 2017, Fran founded Seizure Adventure to advocate for epilepsy awareness in the adventure community and for the benefits of adventure for those with epilepsy, and to demystify the condition and encourage others to try new things and challenge themselves. So then Fran talks through like more about her medical journey, but Fran has been doing some incredible work with Tremula Network, and she's organised this festival. So Tremula represents a celebration of audio storytelling, outdoors, nature and community. And it's from the 20th to 21st of September, 2024. And it's held down in Brighton. So day one, what you can expect, it's all about production. Upskill your audio production in the South Downs. We'll be teaching recording techniques for outdoor production and activism with talks and practical workshops. Day 2 is all about listening. So it's taking place at the Salis Benny Theatre in Brighton University. We'll be listening to some incredible live panel shows, interviews, storytelling and more. That's where I'm involved. I'll tell you a little bit more about my session. And there's also going to be like fringe events. So Tremula is all about accessibility and community, and we'll be supporting and encouraging pay what you can events throughout the festival. You can sign up to the newsletter and to get more information. So if you go to the website, which is Tremula, Tremula, I'm so sorry I'm butchering this, .network. I will put all the links in the show notes so that you can find information about it. So I'm really excited to be attending. So I'm going to be the early evening inspiration, sliding doors and Sarah Williams and bored women. So I'll just read this out. This is straight from the website. So part of Tremula Festival, our early evening inspiration session is showcasing a ton of incredible women podcasters who will get you itching to enjoy some outdoor sport. Sliding Doors is a successful podcast based on the premise of the 90s movie classic, where host Jenny Becker chats to some amazing people from all walks of life about their sliding doors moments and how things might have looked if they had never happened. In this exclusive live recording of the show, Jenny speaks to Tough Girl podcast host Sarah Williams. Woo! Join us to hear all about the amazing sliding door moments Sarah's had in her life and that have gotten her to where she is today. Bored women, spelled B-O-A-R-D. It's like bored as in not like bored as in like I need more entertainment life, as in bored as in like snowboard or surfboard women. So Bored Women explores the world of women and confidence through the lens of board sports, skate, surf and snow. This panel is part of the Confidence Sessions, and host Caroline Keylock will be chatting with a wonderful range of women who have taken up these sports later in life and are helping to increase access to board sports. So you can get your tickets for these shows through the website. I'm going to be on at 5:30 in Brighton, so come down and see me. Come and have a chat. I'm super looking forward to it. So, yep, going to head down to London, have a couple of days in London, head down to Brighton, catch up actually with my amazing friends called Camilla. So when I was 18 and went traveling, one of the girls I met, because so long ago now, called Camilla, she's based in Copenhagen, Denmark, and we have not seen each other for about 2 years, but she's going to come over, and I've done loads of traveling with Camilla. So Camilla actually came out to Vancouver with me before I started the cycle down the Pacific Coast Highway. So she's actually been in a couple of the vlogs, so which is pretty fun. So we're going to have a day in Brighton, have an amazing chat and just to be honest, like not network, but I should suppose it is networking, but just chatting with people in the outdoor space and also the audio space. Just there's so many incredible people. So I'd highly encourage you to check out the festival. Fran has just put in a huge amount of work, and it's just, to be honest, it's a real honour to be invited along. So really looking forward to that. So if you are Brighton, it's like an hour away from London. Come on down for the day, get involved for the events. If you're by yourself and a little bit concerned, send me a DM and say, look, I'm coming down, let me know, because I will happily meet you and I'll be able to introduce you to other people, and it's going to be fun. Get your tickets and get involved. But like I said, I'll put all of those links in the show notes so you can find more information out about it. So my sliding moments. I was going to give a brief overview of some of my sliding moments, but I don't want to spoil it for you. So, so we're now up to September. Woo! So that's the end of September. My plan is, initially I was like, I'm going to head out and do another Camino. I want to do the Camino del Norte. Can I do it in October? Yes, let's go and walk another 600 kilometers or whatever. And then I was just I had it all planned out. I was literally right, when I finish the festival, I'll go to London because I'll be in London. I actually have enough points to get a free flight from London, on British Airways. I can fly to Madrid. You can catch the train from Madrid to the start of the Camino del Norte for £35 because train travel is so cheap in Europe. I can then walk the Camino, and then I can get the train from Santiago de Compostela back to Madrid. And I was even looking can I do a street art walk around Madrid? Is there a nice restaurant that I can visit in Madrid? Literally all planned out. And then I just had to take a moment, especially in this month where I was just I'm trying to do too much. You need to stop. You just need to not chill out because obviously I love doing this. But yeah, I need to take some time. I need to just figure out how I can do the adventures and challenges I want to do, maintain my fitness and health, produce the podcast, produce the vlogs, make money. Yeah, make money, save money, and do all the things basically. And it's just a lot harder to balance that out. So October, November, December, I'm going to be home. I'm going to get back to the gym. I haven't been to the gym for ages, so I haven't done strength training now since probably last October. Wow. God, so it will be a year. Oh my goodness, it's going to be a year since I've done any strength training, which is very not like me. So I'm coming home, I'm back. I've already organised this. I'm working with Franco, who's my personal trainer. Worked with him for years. He got me back up to full health since 2019 actually. So working back with Franco, going to be seeing him once a week. I'm going to be focusing on mobility work with Franco, but then I will be doing strength sessions about 3 times per week. I need to get back into my yin yoga on a regular basis. I might join the run club as well. I think run clubs are all the rage now, especially in relation to dating. I'm not very excited about the prospect of dating, but I feel as though I should try and make an effort as I'm home for a little while. Otherwise, might get sucked back into my bubble, back into my room, back into my bed, back into editing, and not leaving my bed for 20 hours a day, which is probably not the healthiest thing apart from getting up and going to the gym. October, November, December, gym, podcast, editing vlogs. I still need to edit the New Zealand vlogs. I'll need to edit the South West Coast Path vlogs, get those coming out on a regular basis. The New Zealand vlogs, they'll be quite fun because it will look like I'm going to release them basically the same time I did the walk. And I'm thinking I'll release them weekly. It might not be like that. I'll just sort of see how the content, I haven't even looked at the content, what the content looks like. And is it daily? Is it every 2-3 days? Like, is it interesting enough to be that frequently? Or is it better to do like a weekly summary at the end of each week and share it? So that's what I'm going to be working on for those couple of months. Phew, a lot of updates, but that's sort of a bit of a summary. And during those 3 months, October, November, December, I will just be focusing on like just health, fitness, vitality, strength, energy, packing on muscle, just getting strong and fit, just getting back on top of things. I'll be doing more podcast interviews as well in late September, beginning of October. If you know any badass women who you think I should interview, please do get in contact. If you're a badass woman, you think you've got a great story to say, please do get in contact with me. Just one caveat. I do have a lot of women that I'm trying to speak to. And when I only do one episode a week, which I've been doing on the regular now for a while, that's only 52 women a year. It's not a lot of women. That's not a lot of interviews. Whereas, a couple of years ago, I was actually doing over 100 episodes a year especially during the COVID years when I was releasing 2 episodes a week. But during October, November, December, depending on how the editing goes, depending if I can get any help or support with the editing, then maybe that might free up more time to produce more podcast episodes. I might, double down and do 2 a week. I don't know. I'm going to play that by ear, but that's where we're up to. What's going on with the podcast? Podcast numbers have dropped since the high of 2022. So January 2022, I had 87,000 downloads in January. January this year, it was around 40,000 in a month, which is still amazing. But then it sort of dropped like a little bit. So it's like 35, 33, 38,000. I mean, that's still ridiculous. Yeah, so like I look at the numbers, but compared to when I was getting 87,000 downloads a month, there's 60, 70, 80,000. Oh, wow. Those are still big numbers. Podcast is going well. We're coming up to 3.5 million. So we are currently 3,445,000 downloads. So 5,000 more downloads. So we should hit this in the next 5 days, which will be great. I don't think I'll hit 4 million this year. May do. Who knows? Yeah, patrons, like I mentioned before, the numbers have dropped, which is it's more challenging for me because I'm getting less income in every month, and Patreon is basically like my bread and butter. It's my regular source of income, which helps to pay for the running costs of the podcast. But I don't want to gatekeep the Tough Girl podcast content. I want it out there. I want people listening. I want people to benefit from
these women's stories. I want them to benefit from their advice and tips. I'm a big believer in things swing in roundabouts. So previously, years ago, I felt like patrons and the podcast had plateaued again, and then it bounced back sort of amazingly. And so I think it will come back stronger. Hopefully, more patrons will be like, oh, actually, I've been listening to me, Sarah, for quite a while now. Maybe I'm in a good place financially. I'm doing well. Time for me to pay it forward. I'll support the podcast, support the women with the women's stories, increase the amount of female role models in the media. This is what I can do. This is what I can contribute, which is amazing. But I can't, basically, people who support me, like patrons, that's outside of my control. You can either support or you don't. It's basically almost nothing to do with me at the end of the day. What I can focus on is the podcast, is the content, is sharing on social media, focusing on becoming a better interviewer, making sure that I'm asking the right questions, making sure I'm focusing on the right topics that are of interest. How can I improve? How can I get better? How can I add more value to you, the listener? That's what I can focus on. That is what I can control. It's a balance. I am doing this solo, but I'm also supported by amazing women around me, especially members of the Tough Girl tribe who do support and encourage me. And I know that I've got people that I can reach out to, especially when I have problems, or not a problem, where I have a little issue, and I'm literally just how do I handle this? What's the best course of action? How can I solve this? And sometimes I just don't know. Like, because it's just me sat here trying to figure this out. And sometimes you need to talk things out with other people, which is why it's great to have those sort of, people around me where I can have these conversations and people who get it and understand like this sort of like solo entrepreneur podcasting adventure type lifestyle that I have, which is super useful. So I'm going off track now. Oh, numbers. That's what we're talking about. So yeah, talking about the podcast. Look, it's doing well. It's amazing. Like I just love the resource that is being created. Like, my goal is to get over 1,000 episodes. To be honest, like there's no end in sight with the Tough Girl podcast, because I feel even though when I get older and if like I lose like my fitness or my ability to go out and do adventures, I'll always have the podcast. I will just then double down, triple down, quadruple down on that, as long as I can continue talking and there's always going to be amazing women sharing their stories, and I can continue to facilitate that and to share those stories. That is what I want to do. But obviously, I still want to do my adventures for as long as possible. Social media numbers: Instagram 13.1 thousand followers, which is still amazing. Like, and obviously you don't reach all those. Like Facebook was like over 5,000. Facebook was quite interesting this year actually. When I was on the Camino, a gentleman, don't know who he is, he started sharing my posts from the Camino, like my daily stats posts, into different Camino groups. And so normally I get, when I'm out on adventures, I get like 30, 40 likes, so, a few little comments here and there. When it got shared out to the Camino groups, I was suddenly getting like 300 or 400 likes. I was getting hundreds of comments. It was amazing. Like, it was just like, wow, that was really nice for like a small creator, my little niche, like doing my little walks, my little hikes. And it was just really nice to have like that level of support and encouragement. So yeah, the Facebook numbers grew to over 5,000, which I'm really, really proud of. YouTube is also like ticking along really well. Like, YouTube at the moment, I 2023, like I was just doing so well because I was so consistent with content. Every Wednesday, every Friday, there was new vlogs and new videos coming out. However, like after New Zealand, it wasn't possible for me to produce content. So there hasn't been very many videos. So this year, the only videos that I've shared has been the Cotswold Way videos, and that's what it is. But I'm now 5,220 subscribers. I'd love to get to 10k. I'd love to start being able to earn more income from YouTube. So basically, YouTube, when you reach £60, you get a payout, and I haven't had a payout for a very, very long time. Hold on, where's my numbers? If I go into my, I'm just on my laptop. I mean, what's my data? YouTube Studio. What does YouTube Studio say? Yeah, so I've got 5,229 subscribers. I've had an additional 76 subscribers in the last 28 days. I've had 12,100 views. Watch time in hours is 1,200. My estimated revenue, ready for this? £14.69. So yeah, we've still got a long, long way to go. But it's it's good fun, and it's quite amusing sometimes when I watch back some of my vlogs and videos, because I really enjoy it. Like, it's nice to relive the memories, because sometimes the days and the weeks and the walks and the adventures can almost like blur together. And I've had some like wonderful comments from people, which has been really, really, really nice to read. So like people like, oh, thanks for this. I live in Bristol and zigzagged around the Cotswold Way, but I've never taken it all on. So thanks for the inspiration. I'm also very slowly making my way around the Wales Coast Pass. I'm currently looking forward to watching those. I find it really, really nice. And it is quite, as much as I complain about the editing is still like a fun, creative process. And when you get in flow with editing, I'm starting to edit a lot quicker on the video. So my Cotswold Way videos took me 2.5 days to edit, like 7 of them, but that was like all day, every day. And, well, maybe a bit longer, 3 days. Maybe it was like 3 days. So it's basically like 2 videos a day is what I was managing to do. But you do get quicker, you do get better at them. I think it's just initially for me, especially with the New Zealand vlogs, I just don't know where to start. There's just so much content. Anyway, so that has been a rundown. I think I've covered off a lot. Hopefully it's given you a little update into what has been going on in my life over the past sort of 6 months, plans for the next 6 months. Look, if you've got any questions, if you've got any topics, I will be doing another one of these sort of reflections episodes at the end of this year. So at the end of 2024, do you know what? Yeah, I will do another one at the end of 2024, because then in that one, I'll talk more in detail about the Southwest Coast Path. I'll talk more about like my training, especially over October, November, December, and I'll be able to share more about my plans for 2025. How is it going to be 2025 next year? I don't know. So yeah, thank you again for listening. Thank you for your support. If you'd like to learn more about me, learn more about Tough Girl Challenges, then please do go and visit the website, toughgirlchallenges.com. If you would like to sign up as a patron, then please do visit Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl Podcast. If you are buying from Innovate, my affiliate link or my affiliate code is ToughGirl15. So if you use ToughGirl15, you get a 15% discount. It doesn't cost you any more, but I get then a sweet little kickback, which comes through to me, which is obviously great. All the money helps. But yes. Oh, how do I normally end the podcast? Yes, let me end it in my normal, typical way. So all that's left for me to say is, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, give it your all, give it 110%, get after it, go for it, believe in yourself, because I believe in you. Take care, lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.